Good morning. Today is Wednesday, the 27th day of Kislev, the third candle, the third day of Hanukkah. And today we begin the chapter 3 in Tanya. Now in the first two chapters, we learned the first chapter, the Alter Rebbe introduced the fact that there is two neshamas, two souls. Every Jew has two souls, two personalities. You have the animal soul, that's what he explained in the first chapter. In chapter 2, that we learned yesterday, the Alter Rebbe explained that there is a second soul, which is the godly soul, which is one thing, one part with Hashem. And in this coming chapters, the Alter Rebbe is going to describe the structure of these souls. First is going to describe the structure of the godly soul, how the godly soul functions in the person, and how a person is affected by the godly soul. And although when you read this chapter, you may think that this is not talking to you because we're talking about, it seems like I'm talking about a holy person, but that this is the focus now is on the godly soul. The godly soul, as if we don't have an animal soul, an animalistic soul. And later on, he's going to discuss what is the functions, the structure of the animal soul. And then the Alter Rebbe is going to explain where is the tzaddik, the righteous person, where is the rasha, how does the rasha work, and how the Beinoni, the intermediate person. So let's begin chapter 3, where the Alter Rebbe is going to explain the structure, how this godly soul works. So we explained yesterday that when we're talking about the godly soul, there is the soul itself is divided into three levels. Each soul has the nefesh, the ruach, and the neshama. Nefesh is the part of the soul that is connected with the action. The ruach is part of the soul is connected with the emotions, and neshama is a part of the soul is connected with the intellect, the cognitive part. The Alter Rebbe v'hinei now kol b'china u'madrega mishalosh elu nefesh, ruach, u'neshama kelula meyeser b'chinois. Now each of these three distinctions and grades, nefesh, ruach, and neshama, they consist of 10 faculties. And these 10 faculties, says the Alter Rebbe, they correspond to the spiritual 10 faculties, keneged esas spheres elyonos shenishtalshelu mehen, corresponding to the 10 supernal sephiros, the divine manifestations, in which they originate and where they descend. From them they descend. In other words, we know everything in the world obviously comes from the 10 faculties. Or the 10 faculties, this is the way Hashem, God, created the world by basically forming these 10 faculties out of Hashem, out of the godly energy, as we'll soon explain what those 10 faculties are. But while the rest of the creation they're coming from them, the 10 faculties, they correspond to the 10 faculties. But when we're talking about the neshama, the soul, they're not only created by them, but they actually says nishtalshelu mehem. Nishtalshelu, the word nishtalshelu means that it's descended in a chain-like the way of descent. Nishtalshel comes from the word shalshelis. Shalshelis means a chain. So the spiritual neshama, the godly soul, has a deeper and a closer bond and connection with the spiritual faculties, and it comes from them. Now, these 10 faculties, says the Alter Rebbe, nechlokis l'shtayim. The 10 sephiros are subdivided into 2 general categories. These 2 general categories are shein sholosh imois v'sheva kfulois. He calls them 3 mothers and 7 doubles. What are we talking about? 3 mothers and 7 doubles. The 3 mothers is talking about the cognitive part, the intellectual part. 7 doubles refers to the emotive parts. Why is it called doubles? This actually comes from the Kabbalistic book, the Sefer Yetzirah, which is attributed to Avraham Avinu, according to some opinions. And there it describes the letters of the alphabet. As we know, that the entire creation is based on the Hebrew alphabet. And there, in the Hebrew alphabet, you have 7 letters that are double. What does it mean? Double, that there are some letters, this is the Beis, Gimel, Daled, and Kaf, Pei, Reish, Taf. Those are letters that have the soft sound, and it has the stronger sound. Like a Beis and a Vase. Not all letters we are familiar with those 2 sounds. But this is the way it explains in Kabbalah, that these 7 letters have these 2. The softer way and the stronger way. The Pei, the Fei, the Taf and Saf, and so on. So these letters are called Sheva Kfulis, the 7 doubles. Now, when we're talking about the doubles, the strong way and the soft way, this also represents to the 2 general midas. Midas, the emotive attributes, which is chesed and gevura. Soft represents the chesed, and the stronger one represents the gevura. Gevura is the attribute of strength, the attribute of severity, because all of the midas, all of the emotive attributes are generally rooted in either one of these 2 sides. So, in any case, and what are the 3 mothers? So the Alter Rebbe goes and explains. Pirush, Chachma, Bina, Vadas. Namely, Chachma, the wisdom, Bina, the understanding, and Das, the knowledge, they are called mothers. Because they are the mothers that create the emotions. The intellect, when you have an understanding in a certain concept, the understanding leads to creation, the birth of the emotions to that concept. And the Shiva Semeya Binyan Chesed Gvurus Tiferes Chulu, and the 7 doubles are the emotional attributes known as the 7 days of creation. Chesed, kindness, Gevura, severity, Tiferes, beauty, and so on. The other 4, which are the Netzach, endurance, Hod, splendor, and Yesod, foundation, and Malchus is royalty. Those are the 7 midas, which also correspond to the 7 days of creation. There's 6 days of creation and Shabbos. So each day, and the first day, what was created? The light. And that is correspond to Chesed, kindness, light. Second day was connected with Gevura, severity. That's why there was separation between the waters on the second day, and so on. And just as the 10 supernal spheres are divided into 2 general categories, so too with the human soul and its 10 faculties. They are divided into 2 general categories, seichel and midos. You have the seichel, you have the intellect, and midos, the emotional attributes. And he goes deeper to explain, he goes further to explain, a seichel, koilel, chachma bina v'das. Now the category of the intellect includes the 3 all-inclusive intellectual powers, chachma, bina, and das, Chabad. While the midos, the emotional attributes, which bear the same names as the corresponding 7 sephiros, chesed, gevura, etc., they represent the following emotions: love of God, dread and awe of Him, glorification of Him, and so forth. That these emotive attributes of the godly soul are the ones that create those emotions. The intellect in godliness, which lead to create emotions, godly emotions. Now, the Chachma Bina Das Nikru Imais Mokir Lamidis, Chabad, the intellectual faculties, they are called the mothers and the source of the midas. Ki midas ein toildos Chabad, because the midas, they are offsprings of Chabad. They're offsprings, meaning they are derived from the Chachma, Bina, and Das, wisdom, understanding, and knowledge. And now the Alter Rebbe is going to explain it. All what we just said, we need to understand, and he gives a very clear explanation. And again, we can talk about those concepts for days, but we're covering in briefly this explanation. The explanation of the matter is meaning of these 3 intellectual processes described above: inspiration, the Chachma Bina Das, the expiration, and cogitation, and contemplation. What does it mean, inspiration? You have the Chachma, Bina, the understanding, and Das is contemplation, meaning connecting to it. He'll soon explain. It says the intellectual faculty of the rational soul that first conceives any matter. Nikra b'shem chachma koyach ma. This is given the appellation. This is called the chachma, which is composed of 2 words. Chachma is koach ma, the potential of what is. What does that mean? So to understand the concept of chachma, chachma is the attribute that originates everything. Everything comes from chachma. And the chachma, the wisdom, is like when you have a flash. Let's say you're thinking of about a certain complicated task that you want to do, project that you want to make, anything or intellectual difficult problem that you have, and you're looking for a solution, you're looking for an idea, and then all of a sudden you have a flash, and you say, I got it. When you have this flash, and you have this idea in your head, where did it come from? it didn't come from a place of your contemplation. It came from a higher place, meaning the process of understanding something, any other part of the intellect, is when you have an idea that you know and you're going to develop it. You're breaking it down. There's something that you have already and you need to break it down. Now this is Bina, understanding, something that you have already. You are there. But to get the first original idea, the first flash of idea, this is called koach mas, a potential of what? What is it? Meaning it comes from a place where you are not here. You are removing your thoughts. You are allowing for a new idea to enter your mind. This is the koach ma. This is the power of. This is why also it says the bitul, the complete nullification. When you nullify yourself to a higher source. This is the chachma. When you allow yourself completely to be non-existent in order to receive something higher. That's what he calls the koach ma, the power of what is, because it's nothing you can pinpoint, you can point out to. Now, so this is the original thing. When one brings forth this concentrated idea from the potential into actual, that is, when one cogitates with his intellect on the seminal point in order to understand a matter full well. In other words, once you have the idea, you start thinking and developing it, because when you have this flash of idea, you may have everything in the whole picture. But if someone is going to ask you, okay, now what's next? How do you explain it? It says, no, I need time. Give me time. I need to break it down. Because you have the whole picture as one. You see it. Something was given to you. A flash, an idea came to you. Then you need to sit down and you need to break it down to be able to understand it properly. Ula omkoi. And thus, when one cogitates on the concept in its length and breadth and delves to its very depth, as it evolves from the concept which had conceived in his intellect, nikra bina. Then this is called bina. So bina is a faculty which elucidates the details of any concept and apprehends it full well and in depth. And these two, the chachma and the bina, v'hein heim av v'eim. These two, the chachma and the bina, they are the very father and the mother. The father introduces the concept, the mother develops it. And the mother, which gives birth to the love of God and awe, the yira, and dread, pachad, of Hashem. What is the difference between the yira and pachad? Yira means fear. The awe, pachad, means pachad means fear. The pachad is more a connection, a kind of fear that is connected with the emotions. You're already emotionally afraid. Yira is the awe that you are in your mind. You're afraid of something in your mind, but it's not something that you feel it already. What is interesting, earlier when he spoke about both emotions, the pachad, he first mentions pachad, and then the yira. Again, the pachad is more the emotional part, fear. Yira is more the intellectual fear, the dread. And in the end, he first mentions yira and then pachad. And the explanation is because in the beginning, it describes what are the emotions. What are the emotions? Love of Hashem and fear of Hashem. And fear of Hashem, he first mentions the emotion of fear, the fear that is connected with the emotional part of the person. Then he goes on to yira, which is also a different level of fear, which is more the intellectual fear. But the pachad is first, because this is the emotional part. But at the end of this class, when he mentions the process, the way the emotions come as a result of the intellect, of contemplating, there the order is the other way. Because when you contemplate in something, first you get the yira, the intellectual fear, and later on it leads to the emotional fear that you already feel it in your emotions as well. So this is the end of today's class, starting explaining the structure of the godly soul, and we will continue tomorrow, Bezrat Hashem, 9 a.m. Please join us. Thank you for joining today. We can take some questions.